The holidays are full of parties and events, and yes, delicious sweets and treats too. All good things. But it's also a time of year that we consume a lot of extra calories without even realizing it. There's a name for this kind of unsatisfying, mindless eating: BLTs. Not like the sandwich, rather bites, licks, and taste. BLTs, like a bite of your kid's leftovers, or a lick of the peanut butter after making a sandwich, or a taste of the cookie dough before you pop it in the oven. My first guest says all of those extra nibbles can actually add up to be a lot. Fitness trainer Lindsey Mathews is here to fill us in. It's great to see you.
You too, thank you.
I know you want to point out from the get-go that extra calories are expected and often worth it this time of year.
Yeah. I mean, there's certain foods around this time of year that you only have this time of year. So I'm not out to say you should not enjoy those. Just want to bring some awareness around some things today.
We're not knocking the eggnog.
No, I love eggnog actually.
It may not seem like much, but how many extra calories can these BLTs or these bite, licks, and tastes add up to?
Yeah, I mean, they can easily add up to hundreds of extra calories a day if you're not aware and careful. I'm not saying you don't have any, just be aware.
So what's the goal? It's not no BLTs, what's our goal?
Just, again, bringing awareness to it is just kind of to think, oh, I'm about to nibble on this, I'm about to munch on this. Do I really want it? If you don't, let's try skipping it.
I think the word mindless is a good parameter to keep in mind as well, because no one wants to do anything mindlessly, especially if it might have negative consequence on the other end.
Yes, definitely. And that's exactly what mindless eating is. It's not satisfying, it's not satiating, it does nothing for us. I mean, compare that to like a delicious meal with your family or enjoying chocolate chip cookies with your kids. Totally different than just standing in front of the pantry and eating chips, right?
So help us get to that more mindful place of eating, and standing in front of the pantry is a good place to start, because you want to seated.
Right. The first tip is to only eat seated, or at least have that be your goal, is to only eat seated. You know, that's going to avoid you, again, picking in the chips, standing in front of the fridge, and just eating what calls out to you. Just be more mindful and always sitting down.
And even if that's a catch in the kitchen moment where you're about to reach for the chips and you're like, Lindsey says sit down, I'm going to take a rest.
And then you might think, do I really want these?
Exactly. It's that pause point that might help us in the end. You also want us to eat off a plate.
Right. So I'm not going to come out and say you can't have that cookie or those chips, but you might think, if I have to put this on a plate and sit down, I don't really want it that bad.
There's this, I'll call it a hobby, a treasured hobby of scrolling while you munch. You don't eat distracted.
Yeah, for sure. And like the scrolling is something that we think about a lot too. But what about, munching on popcorn while you watch a movie? Or drinking your soda while you watch a movie? Just things that make you eat more than you really want to because you're not thinking about it.
Did you just take away our movie popcorn?
I mean, just be aware. Again, not saying you can't do it, right?
Put it on a plate. Put those kernels on a plate.
Exactly.
No, I appreciate what you're saying. And you say our pace also makes a difference.
Yeah, for sure. It can take a while for your mind to, tune into your body and pay attention to your hunger and fullness cues. And so shoveling it down really fast is going to take some of that satisfaction out of it, and you may not notice when you're feeling satisfied or full.
Take us to those fullness cues. I mean, I think it might sound like a silly elementary question, but I think a lot of people were in this pace and this society that kind of encourages the mindlessness.
Yeah.
And so what hunger cues might we be looking for as a signal to take a stop?
Yeah, so in just a normal meal, you may not really need to pause and check in, but this is more of a good tip for, Christmas Eve, Christmas, like one of those longer meals where you've got your appetizer, your dinner, your dessert. Just take a pause and think, am I still hungry? I'm not saying you always have to be hungry if you're going to eat, but am I full? Am I satisfied? I had half the dessert. Maybe I don't need the other half, and I feel like I got enough satisfaction for what I had.
Yeah, I circle back to pace again.
Yeah.
We move so quickly that those thoughtful moments really don't happen all that often.
I mean, so sometimes being aware of that, putting your fork down, taking a drink of water, sometimes just little cues like that can help us do it.
But don't let this get in the way of enjoyment in some capacity for the seasonal foods that are out there.
Yep, for sure.
It's a balance.
Yes.
Thanks for helping us.
You're welcome.
Lindsey, where can we get more advice from you?
I'm Trainer Lindsey on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay, we'll post a link on our website. Thanks again for coaching us along.